I miss the old MonsterVerse. Contrary to belief, the MonsterVerse super fandom seems to be shrinking, not growing. And while a ton of casuals are watching the movie once and then leaving it alone forever, the diehards are slowly losing interest, which I think is a damn shame. The last few films and external content has been fun, there's no denying that. But I don't think I stand alone when I say I truly do miss the old days of the MonsterVerse. And now that I got your attention, the vibes the franchise of Giants was throwing out pre-Godzilla vs. Kong was just better in my opinion. And I'm going to give you my reasons on why I truly do believe this, and how the MonsterVerse can improve going forward so it can avoid the dreaded title of being called stale. This is by no means me saying that the last 5 years of MonsterVerse content has been bad, by the way. I just think we've yet to hit peak kaiju entertainment, and that's a good thing. The recent focus on the kaiju over the humans in the MonsterVerse has been oh so good. While other franchises are struggling to not succumb to burnout and bad decisions, the MonsterVerse is having to only figure out how to continue to get better and grow. Which just shows how special Godzilla, Kong, and these iconic characters are that over 10 years later, we still have a franchise that feel like it's only going to continue to get better. And since we're in the period of time to where the next major film is in pre-production, they're starting writing for the filming probably around now. Now's a good time for us, the community, to share what we want to see, and how we think the franchise can truly get better. All this and a special guest you won't want to miss. So sit down and relax, and let's get to it. Some of you may not agree, but I truly do miss the old MonsterVerse. I'm not saying I miss any specific film, I'm not gonna argue that any movie is vastly superior to the others for that matter. However, the franchise has lost, at least I think, what made it so special for superfans. People that want to do more with their passion for a franchise than just get all excited for 3 months while the movie's about to come out and then forget about it pretty much forever. In short, I miss the mystery and intrigue of this franchise the most. At this point, nothing feels deeper than the surface level with the franchise's way of writing. It's not going in the direction of a powerful cinematic universe that could go on to be loved for decades to come, like the franchise that's sponsoring this video.
Dawn Trail is the latest expansion for the highly praised MMORPG set in the Final Fantasy universe, where you can bring your friends and take on dungeons, trials, raids, and all sorts of terrifying monstrosities, like the ancient Chimera or the vicious Behemoth. No, not that Behemoth, this one. And yes, there's even dragons. And you know we at Dangerville love dragons. The free trial includes content from the base game and the first 2 expansions, Heaven's Ward and Stormblood, all the way up to level 70 with unlimited game time. But the latest expansion has changed the game massively. Final Fantasy XIV Online is available on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, PS4, as well as Windows, Steam, and Mac. And just recently, the devs have released an update to overhaul the graphics to really make use of that console power. So the game looks and plays better than ever. Final Fantasy XIV Online has 21 different jobs, with 2 new jobs released with Dawn Trail, both starting at level 80, the dual blade-wielding melee DPS job, Viper, and ranged magical DPS job, Pictomancer, that weaves their imagination into the fabric of reality. Start your free trial using the link in the comment section to enter the world of Eorzea and start slaying some monsters. Thanks Final Fantasy XIV Online for sponsoring us, and I hope you residents can go check out the game because it helps support the channel. Now, back to the video.
What you see is what you get, and any mystery surrounding the lore has been cast aside for flat out telling us everything there is to know and not really going all that in depth with it. The Scar King and the Kongs are a perfect example here. Now let me be very clear, the scene with Kong going into the Scar King's lair is easily one of the best in Godzilla x Kong, maybe even one of the best in the entire franchise. We finally get to see the Kong civilization that has been foreshadowed since Kong Skull Island. But when it came to the greater lore behind the Hollow Earth Kong civilization, all we got was bad ape do bad things, make Godzilla mad, Godzilla trap monkey, monkey want to kill surface world for no reason at all other than just because. Practically no effort was put into making an intriguing backstory for the Scar King and his Kong clan. I'm pretty sure I even put more thought into creating a backstory for the Scar King and all these Kongs in some theory videos I made on the channel here than they did. And that just shouldn't ever even be close to being a possibility, I think. And yes, I will admit I'm a stickler for IPs going above and beyond with their expanded lore. But hey, I was spoiled with 2005's King Kong. They pretty much made like an encyclopedia for that island with all the animals and the lore there. It was just more than we needed, but I love that. It was just nice to have something there for the superfans who wanted to know more about this mysterious island. Looking at 2005 King Kong, it's insane how much effort was put into the lore for a single one-off film. The current MonsterVerse simply answers all the mysteries of the franchise's more cryptic past with, in my opinion, elementary school grade answers. And on top of that, these answers typically neutralize any other theory possibilities, pretty much ripping the fun out of delving deep into the lore when you know the answer to your question will likely be answered with a just because answer. And I cannot forget to mention that this applies to all the external marketing material as well for the films. Take a look at some of the old cool stuff we used to get to help us get all hyped up for what was next in a mysterious and intriguing way. Even the way the lore is given to us for the MonsterVerse has severely degraded. Check out these monster profiles as well as some other stuff from Kong Skull Island. So much effort was put into these things, making it look like we were actually looking at actual top secret reports from the 70s. Fast forward to the way the lore is given to us now, and well, I assume you can see the drop off in the amounts of fucks given when it comes to giving the fandom more lore. Going forward, I would like to actually see the MonsterVerse creators actually care about the external material, truly looking into the expanded lore and the events that happen outside the current film's events. And for the love of Godzilla, whoever's working on the next projects, please just take a few days to go and look through and read the comic books for the MonsterVerse. Skim through the books as well, and stop contradicting past work just because you're too damn lazy to look at it. These folk get paid a lot of money, like a lot of money to make these movies. I'm talking about the upper echelon people too, not the lowly workers that are really putting the thing together. And it's about time that the minds behind the MonsterVerse start taking a week of their pre-production time going over and learning what there is to learn on the thing that's about to make them very rich. I mean, reading the books is one thing, but these are short books, and even if you don't look at the books, you can look at the comics, and looking at all the comics would take you a few hours, so I just don't understand when it's your job to not just spend at least like a week or two, you know, delving into the universe you're about to get into yourself. Maybe they do that, but I don't know, doesn't seem that way. Give us reasons to get excited for this franchise in ways beyond just another movie or just another show. I really miss making lore content for you guys and having all the fun discussions that we would have after them. That being said though, I'm a huge lore nerd, and I think a good universe with healthy bones is far superior than a franchise that just gets people excited for a couple months every few years and then drifts off into irrelevance. The next most important step for me the MonsterVerse needs to take moving forward is bring back the fear, the terror, and the high stakes of these world-threatening scenarios and monsters. Since Skull Island, there's not been one point in this franchise that has made me feel any bit of suspense and terror. Like, sure, I feel for Godzilla and Kong, but let's be honest, I knew they were never gonna die. And all the human characters' demises that we've seen since Skull Island, save for Serizawa, have been anything but impactful. If anything, death and destruction and all the little emotions that come with that have been completely absent in the MonsterVerse films since Skull Island, actually. Don't get me twisted though, death and despair are obviously still a big part of things in this franchise. Like, just imagine how many people died in this scene. But did you once actually feel terror for these people? I didn't think so. I, like you, was focused on the monsters, and I didn't care about everybody dying because, well, the film's creators didn't want me to. There's nothing wrong with not making a spectacle out of death, but I fear that unless the MonsterVerse brings a more constant level of mortality back to its stories, that at some point, people will become numb to the endless destruction that has no repercussions. It's like every Titan battle helps humanity more than hurts it somehow. We always get better technology and become more advanced after attacks, but we never got to feel the reason why these advancements must happen in the story. Right now they're happening, well, just because. In my opinion, you have to make deaths in your movies matter. And having the Grim Reaper following closely behind our characters would bring something to the franchise I think it hasn't had for a very long time. Audiences just love not knowing when the next person's gonna become past tensed. The entire attack on the surface world by Scar and Shima was supposed to be a world-ending threat, but it never once to me felt like that. There was no sense of urgency, no sense of that if Godzilla and Kong do lose that everyone is dead. It was all just so happy and go lucky feeling. And it didn't have the terror that usually comes with disaster films. Even the worst disaster films will get you on the edge of your seat at least once or twice during the movie. And even though they promoted it like one, I never felt like GXK was an actual disaster film, or that the planet was ever truly in danger. And going forward, I would love to have these feelings again regarding the MonsterVerse movies. Tell me if you agree. The next thing I believe the MonsterVerse needs to focus on to make it better is making everything just more relatable again. I enjoy the characters of GXK, but none of them, save for Eileen, are relatable. She is, in my opinion, the only human character in this movie that actually acts like a real human. And like Eileen Andrews' a cool character, but she's never going to be a fan favorite. On top of that, not much feels real in the MonsterVerse anymore, save for some things that Monarch Legacy of Monsters has done. No, I'm not gonna get into a kaiju film realism debate. I could care less if the kaiju are fast moving or not. But what happens around the kaiju, I think, could and should be relatable to the real world as we know it. The monsters aren't real, but the world around them is, at least on the surface. They can get away with some more wacky stuff in the Hollow Earth. Throwing in superior to Star Wars tech can be fun and helps make the kiddies demand their parents buy them more toys, but it doesn't help make a movie more memorable. The scene from Godzilla x Kong that people are going to be talking about 10 years from now, it's not going to be Kong getting the beast glove. It's not the heave bug thing changing colors on command. And it's certainly not whatever this is. You know the scene I speak of. Literally Kong using a child like a weapon, man. This scene is pure gold, and there was no silly sci-fi human technology. Just a grumpy old man using the tools the natural world had given him at that time. Speaking of relatable, you know we've all thought about doing this with the annoying toddler in the family a time or two. Don't actually do that. But yeah, we don't need Godzilla 2014 ultimate realism. But it sure wouldn't hurt to make the characters and events feel more plausible, and like it could actually happen. Something that made the MonsterVerse so special and taken seriously in the first part of its lifespan. There's already tons of silly, over-the-top kaiju movies out there, and honestly, I don't want to see the MonsterVerse become that. I don't want to see it become nothing more than just a Fast and Furious style franchise. Lastly, and maybe the one thing most of you guys are going to agree with me on, is that I want the Titans to be godlike again. You heard me before, I love the focus on the Titans of late as actual characters. It's been a blast to see them finally shown in all their glory on the big screen. However, to me, it kind of feels like Looney Tunes meets WWE meets big giant monsters, you know? The mystery surrounding them is gone. The awe-inspiring, fear-inducing presence of them feels dampened and ignored in favor of flashy action scenes and attempts at humor. For lack of better words, they just don't feel special anymore. They feel more like giant Pokemon than these godly entities from a long-forgotten time. I love Pokemon, but these ain't pocket monsters. But I don't want this video to only be my opinion. Here's Godzilla Guy, and he's gonna give you his take on how the MonsterVerse can improve moving forward.
Hi everyone, it's Godzilla Guy, and thank you Dangerville for having me on. And here are a few things I personally want to see fixed and or addressed in the MonsterVerse. Firstly, the old timeline. One major issue the MonsterVerse has is a tendency to constantly contradict itself within its own lore. Did Shinamura exist? Kinda. Was it the Prime or the Muto duo that caused Godzilla to change his dorsals? We don't know. The funniest thing is that there's a mythological department in Legendary, whose job is supposed to make sure the timeline is clean and smooth. And well, they either just don't show up to work or they just don't care. Another thing with the old timeline, all they ever do in modern films is talk about the ancient battles, all the cool rivalries Godzilla had with other kaiju. But you know what they never do? Show them. All we get to see is poorly lit cave carvings and painting of said battles. All we want as fans is to see these flashbacks, even if it's just for a few seconds. Just telling us what happened is kind of a punch to the gut. Number 2 is also having better humans. The MonsterVerse has suffered with good characters recently. I mean, Bernie, Eileen, and the group, they're okay. There's a reason why Bryan Cranston and both the Russells' performances are so well praised. People think kaiju films either have little kaiju screen time but good characters, or a lot of kaiju screen time but bad written characters, which is just wrong. You can have awesome action with good characters. It is possible. And on number 3, getting some new kaiju. The MonsterVerse has set up so many kaiju that they just never show, like Mokele Membe, Typhon, Binyup. Now, don't get me wrong, Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, and Mecha were super cool to see, but I think most fans can agree that we want to see a new kaiju step up and challenge Godzilla. And I mean, you know, there's Shimo, but come on, she wasn't really a threat to Godzilla. Bringing new kaiju on the table will only do good. We'll get new theories, new toys, new fan art, and of course, new debates. But yeah, that's just my opinions. Thank you, Dangerville, for having me on. And anyone watching, if you want to see your favorite kaiju battle it out once a week, then make sure to check out my channel, Godzilla Guy, GODZILLAGUY. Again, thank you, Dangerville. Everybody, make sure to subscribe here, of course, as well. And as always, keep collecting, everybody. See ya.
Dang it, I want a cute little Godzilla cartoon thing. Make sure to go check Godzilla Guy out. He's a good dude. So what does the MonsterVerse need to do to get better, in my opinion? We need to see the humans reacting accurately to the death and destruction around them. No more cracking jokes when your buddy gets turned into mulch, alright? I want the high stakes to actually feel high, like really super high, like Snoop Dogg high. We need to actually see and feel the horror of a kaiju attack if it was real. And it wouldn't hurt to stop being anti-military because this is a movie, not real life. Take a look at -1, for example. I really do believe that now is the perfect time for the MonsterVerse creators to take parts of the old movies, the new movies, and fuse them together into the ultimate kaiju movie. Use the best of both worlds. So if for whatever reason any of the MonsterVerse creators are actually watching this video, here's my one request, and I think the fans agree here. Make us care again about this franchise. Make us really feel our passion for this universe beyond just getting excited for a 2-hour movie that comes out once every 3 or 4 years. We don't need another big over-the-top kaiju action brawl. We need a damn good movie that's worthy of a 20 years later anniversary re-release. That also has a lot of badass kaiju fight scenes in it. Come on now, we need that. Right now, from what I can see, the MonsterVerse is doing good and not really being controversial towards its fans, but it's also doing bare minimum to keep them excited for this universe. I don't really see any fans begging for more right now. Right now, and I do hate to say this, it just feels like a giant cash grab every single time a MonsterVerse movie comes out. They come in, they take our money, and then they just dip out to hardly ever being seen or heard from again until, well, they want our money again. And I don't know. I think the MonsterVerse fandom deserves more than that. If you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this topic, Alistair's got a video coming out going over this topic as well, so if you want to hear his thoughts, make sure and stay tuned for that. He also goes a little bit more in depth on the Monarch TV show, so if you wanted to hear more about that, because I kind of skimmed over it, stay tuned for that video. So anyway, everyone, if you like this video and you want more like it, more opinion sort of videos like this on how the MonsterVerse can improve going forward, let me know down in the comments, share this video around, do all that YouTube stuff. As always, this has been Jacob. You guys go out and have fun, do some cool stuff. I'll see you in the next one.